This season, we are so excited to be exploring the world of Renaissance masters.
I know, I'm excited.
Michelangelo.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
For this first deep dive, it's called The Marble Speaks, which I think you'll agree is a pretty evocative title. And we're going to zero in on the beginning of a legend.
Exactly. In this deep dive, we're trying to figure out all the forces that shaped Michelangelo when he was young, and we'll uncover the story behind one of his most iconic creations, the Statue of David. And we're going to be drawing on historical accounts and a lot of interesting analysis to understand the man, the moment that gave birth to this absolute masterpiece.
I think that's a great place to start. The Marble Speaks. So where do we even begin with this story?
Well, I think with Michelangelo himself, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So he was born in 1475 in Caprese, just a small town, but his family returned to Florence not long after.
And that's really where our focus kind of, I guess, sharpens, right? Florence at that time was like the center of the art world and intellectual thought. Just everything was going on there.
Yeah, it was booming. And what's really interesting is how early Michelangelo's connection to art even began. Like, he spent time in Settignano, which is known for its stone quarries, and his nanny's husband, get this, was a stone cutter.
Wow.
And even his own father owned a marble quarry.
That's wild.
There's this really great quote from Vasari. He said, "Along with the milk of my nurse, I received the knack of handling chisel and hammer."
Wow. So he was practically, I mean, he was like born into it.
Yeah, like an innate understanding of the materials.
It's like the landscape itself was shaping him, even before he was really making choices about it. And then you've got Florence, the city he grew up in. It was just buzzing with artistic energy. You've got the Signoria, the merchant guilds, and of course these really powerful patrons like the Medici family. They were just like fostering like this huge rebirth explosion of art and learning. This is the Renaissance. And think about all the giants of this period, like Brunelleschi, Ghiberti. Their work was like just everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, their architectural marvels and sculpture, I mean, it defined the cityscape.
Yeah.
Michelangelo would have been surrounded by their groundbreaking work every single day.
Yeah.
The air he was breathing, it was just thick with artistic ambition.
Exactly. I mean, Florence was just like a visual feast. It was constantly pushing artists not only to be as good as the old masters, but to be better, to surpass them, surpass each other, surpass everyone. It was pretty cutthroat.
It must have been incredible to be there. And yet young Michelangelo, he wasn't really interested in the kind of traditional academic path.
Yeah.
He was sent to Florence to study grammar.
Of course.
But his mind was elsewhere.
Yeah.
He wasn't super captivated by all the Latin, all that stuff. His passion, his real passion, was with painting and with the other painters,
Right.
So this eventually leads him to this kind of significant step.
Right.
At the age of 13, he becomes an apprentice to Domenico Ghirlandaio. This guy, he's a master of fresco.
That Ghirlandaio clearly saw something special. I mean, to be paid as an artist at that age, that was like unheard of.
Yeah.
But Michelangelo, he had the goods.
Right, he really did. And that early recognition opened up so many doors. Lorenzo de' Medici himself requested Ghirlandaio's two best pupils.
Oh, wow.
So Michelangelo and Francesco Granacci, this is another artist at the time, they're sent to Lorenzo. This was a big deal. It put Michelangelo right in the heart of Florentine power.
Yeah, it was a huge turning point for him. He started attending this thing called the Platonic Academy. It's this place where all these humanists, philosophers, and writers would kind of hang out and talk. It was the place to be.
The place to be seen, for sure.
And these guys, they emphasized classical ideals,
Yeah.
and the potential of humans to do, amazing things.
Mm.
If you look at the bigger picture, it's easy to see how these humanist ideas, they were really important for Michelangelo, right? They shaped his ideas about art and his focus on the beauty and power of the human form. And it's during this period that he made those early sculptural reliefs, the Madonna of the Stairs,
Yeah.
and the Battle of the Centaurs.
Yeah, the Battle of the Centaurs. That one's really cool.
It is. It was actually commissioned by Lorenzo,
Yeah.
based on a theme suggested by this poet named Poliziano.
Oh, wow.
I mean, even in these early stages, you can see Michelangelo tackling all this complex action, the anatomy.
Yeah, he was so talented from a young age.
But it wasn't all just smooth sailing,
Yeah.
No. There was this altercation with another artist named Pietro Torrigiano. Apparently there was some jealousy going on. And Torrigiano, he struck Michelangelo and broke his nose. You can actually see it in some later portraits of him.
Oh, wow.
It's a reminder that even in this amazing art scene, with all the creativity and stuff, there was also a lot of rivalry and ego going on.
Yeah, I guess wherever you have talented people, you're gonna have some of that, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
But so we fast forward, right? 1499. Michelangelo, he's back in Florence. The political climate has changed since he was last there.
Oh, right. Savonarola.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So Savonarola's influence has kind of waned, and it's in this environment that the story of the David really begins.
Yeah. So set the stage for us. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so you've got this group called the Operae del Duomo. They oversee the construction of the Florence Cathedral. And it's worth mentioning, these guys were like a big deal. They controlled a lot of the major art projects going on at the time.
Right.
So for a long time, they wanted to decorate the buttresses of the cathedral with 12 huge sculptures of Old Testament prophets.
Wow.
It was a huge project. They wanted to make Florence a center of art and piety. They wanted these sculptures to be monumental, like
Yeah.
a statement about Florence's power and piety.
Right.
And actually, decades earlier, they'd even commissioned Agostino di Duccio to work on one of the figures.
Oh, right.
But that project, it kind of stalled. And this is where that legendary block of marble, the one everyone talks about, comes in.
The one that was already started and abandoned.
Exactly. Agostino di Duccio, he had started on it like 40 years before, but he never finished.
I see.
A lot of people thought it was flawed, maybe even ruined,
Yeah.
too damaged to use for something so important.
But not Michelangelo.
No. He saw the potential in it.
Right.
He was commissioned to complete this huge statue of David. And it wasn't going to be for the buttress like they originally planned. It was going to be like a symbol of Florentine freedom. It was going to be in a super prominent place.
And they trusted him to do this.
Well, yeah. It's pretty remarkable, right? To give such a young artist this really challenging task. I mean, this piece of marble, it was notorious. I wonder, what do you think it was about his early work that convinced them, that he was the one?
I mean, obviously his talent.
Right.
He was developing this reputation as a real innovator. And I think there was something maybe audacious about his work. It must have given them confidence. But what about his artistic philosophy? Was that also in line with what they wanted?
Yeah, totally. He believed that the ideal form, like the perfect figure, it was already inside the marble. He just had to find it.
I see.
It wasn't about imposing his will on the stone, but kind of like revealing what was already hidden there.
Oh, I like that.
I actually said this later. He said he was merely liberating figures that were already existent in the stone.
Oh, that's a great quote.
It's think of it like there's this perfect statue buried in the sand. And Michelangelo's job is to carefully brush away the sand to reveal it.
Right. Like an archaeological dig almost.
Exactly.
So he's got this massive, difficult block of marble, and he starts this monumental project.
Mhm.
The creation of the David, which he finished in 1504. This is what really made him a star, right?
Absolutely. The size of it just blew everyone away.
People were just like, what?
Vasari said it was certainly a miracle that Michelangelo was able to raise up one who had died.
Whoa.
He was talking about the marble.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like he brought it back to life. And he even said that it was better than all the ancient statues and modern statues.
Oh.
I mean, that's high praise, right?
From someone who knew what he was talking about, yeah. But once this amazing piece was done, they had this big debate about where to even put it.
Oh, yeah. They wanted to make sure it was somewhere important.
Yeah.
So they got a committee together.
Really?
Yeah. Botticelli, Leonardo da Vinci, all the big names, they were all there.
Wow.
They had all these ideas. The Loggie dei Lanzi in front of the cathedral.
Wow.
But eventually, they decided on a spot next to the entrance of the Palazzo della Signoria,
Oh, right.
the seat of government.
It's like they were making a statement,
Right.
about Florence's power, its independence. And think about what was there before. Donatello's Judith and Holofernes.
That's right. Another work about, standing up to tyrants, defending your freedom.
So that David, with this, this image of, this young hero facing a giant, it fit perfectly with kind of what Florence wanted to project to the world.
Exactly. It was about strength, independence, doing what's right. All the things that were really important in Florence at the time.
Especially after all the political turmoil they'd gone through.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even Machiavelli was writing about David as this symbol of Florentine resilience. And can you imagine, moving this huge statue? It must have been a huge undertaking.
Oh, I bet.
It took them 4 days just to move it half a mile. From Michelangelo's studio to the Piazza della Signoria, they had 40 people, wooden beams, greased logs, the whole works.
Wow, like a Renaissance traffic jam.
Right. And once they finally got it in place, they added all these extra details, like they gilded the sling, the tree stump that supports the statue. They even gave him a gilt loin garland.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess they wanted to make it extra fancy. But I mean, a giant naked dude in the middle of a public square, that's pretty eye-catching on its own, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the nudity itself was like a political statement,
Oh, right. It was like what do they call it?
a classical reference.
Yeah, yeah. And it also like spoke to the humanist idea that the human form, like the ideal human form, was something to be celebrated.
Right, exactly.
And it represented the strength and vitality of the Florentine Republic.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that David, I mean, it obviously became super famous because it was a beautiful work of art, but it also became the symbol, didn't it, of Michelangelo's genius, of Florentine identity, of like youthful power and beauty. It was more than just a statue.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
was like it transcended art, you know?
Right, right.
But the story of this block of marble, it doesn't stop there.
I didn't even think about that.
There's this like funny story about another block of marble, one that was meant to be like a companion piece to the David.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were moving it, right. And it supposedly fell into the Arno River.
No.
Yeah. And Vasari, he later said that, he joked, he said the marble like jumped in because it was so upset that Baccio Bandinelli, not Michelangelo, was going to carve it.
No way. He actually said that. That's
It's a
hilarious.
pretty funny story, right?
It's like even the marble had opinions back then.
Right. It just goes to show you that even centuries ago, the art world was full of, drama and big personalities.
And a little bit of artistic shade.
Right.
But of course, the David, it's not still standing where it was originally, right?
No,
I mean, they moved it, I think, to protect it.
exactly. He moved it to the Galleria dell'Accademia in 1873 to keep it safe. And it's still there today. It's still a huge draw for visitors. And there's a replica in the original spot, so people can still like experience it,
Yeah.
where it was meant to be seen.
Yeah, makes sense.
And over the years, it's had its fair share of challenges. There have been these like attempts to clean it that ended up doing more harm than good. Oh, no.
And of course, there was that hammer attack in 1991.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. But I think that ended up helping them, right? Like scientifically.
Yeah, actually, as bad as it was, it let scientists study the marble and confirm that it came from the Fantascritti quarries in Carrara. It's crazy how even, vandalism can teach us things.
I guess you learn something new every day.
Yeah. And the conservation efforts, I mean, they never stop. They're constantly working on it, cleaning it carefully, scanning it with 3D technology, monitoring it all the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing the dedication these people have. There was even this legal dispute over who owned it in 2010.
Wow.
That just shows how important it still is all these centuries later.
Right. And it's not just Florence. I mean, that David has been copied so many times. You see it everywhere, like pop culture, you name it.
Yeah, it's iconic.
I love that story about the plaster cast that was made for Queen Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
The one with the detachable fig leaf.
Yeah, because it's too scandalous.
Right. Imagine that. They're like, we can't show the queen a naked statue.
That's hilarious.
It's so funny how art can be controversial, even after all this time. And what about that fiberglass replica?
Oh, yeah, the one that they put on the cathedral buttress a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was like a way to show people what it would have looked like if it had been installed where they originally planned.
That's so interesting. It must have given people a whole new perspective on it. So David, it's more than just this amazing sculpture. It's a symbol of the Renaissance. It's a symbol of Michelangelo's incredible talent. It's a symbol of the power of art to inspire people, even after hundreds of years. It's crazy, right?
Absolutely. And like the whole journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
From choosing that block of marble to putting the finished statue right in the heart of Florence, it shows you Michelangelo's vision, He wasn't afraid of a challenge, and he ended up creating something truly remarkable.
And people have interpreted it in so many different ways over the years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a religious symbol. It's a political symbol. It's like the ideal human form. It's all of these things.
I know. What do you think? What resonates with you the most?
I think for me, it's that moment of anticipation, like he's about to face this huge challenge, but he's not afraid. He's ready. And I think that speaks to something really powerful about human nature, our ability to face the unknown, to overcome obstacles, and to, fight for what we believe in.
I totally agree. That's what makes it so timeless.
Yeah, it's not just a story from the past, it's a story about us, about who we are.
Exactly.
So what do you think, what do you think our listeners should take away from this deep dive into Michelangelo?
I think that, we've only just scratched the surface of his life and his art. I mean, this is just the beginning, right?
Hmm.
And I think hopefully people will be inspired to learn more, to like dive deeper into the Renaissance, into Michelangelo's other works. I mean, he had such a long career and he achieved so much. There's so much to discover.
Absolutely. I mean, David it launched his career, right?
Right.
But it also changed the course of art history. Think about all the artists who came after him who were influenced by his work, and not just sculptors, but painters, architects, everyone.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about the ripple effect,
Yeah.
like how one work of art can have such a huge impact on everything that came after it.
Well, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Masters of the Renaissance, Michelangelo, and of course, the story of the Marble Speaks. I can't wait to explore more with you.
Me neither.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive into the lives and legacies of these extraordinary artists. So stay tuned and keep exploring.